What's going on, people of the internet? Khaotic here with a KRR, and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting my channel, which if you are new to me, be advised that I am typically a gaming channel. However, from time to time, I like to do commentaries and video essay-ish style videos where I do talk about random topics that I want to talk about, because I do honestly get bored of just constantly doing gaming related videos from time to time, as well as just other shit too. But even then, at least a good portion of it will still sometimes be related to gaming. Anyways, this is an exception. Just let it be known, this isn't always the typical stuff I do on my channel. And let it be known that throughout this video, I'm going to be choosing my words very deliberately, not because I'm afraid of offending anybody. In fact, if you're concerned that I might offend you, then may I recommend getting the fuck off of the internet. Because if you're too sensitive just to hear a different opinion, then maybe the internet isn't for you. But no, in all seriousness, the reason why I'm going to be choosing my words very, very deliberately is because I'm going to be talking about very specific things, and I want to make sure that there is no confusion, and to help people understand where the misunderstanding is with this particular situation that I am going to refer to or nickname Arkansas proposed Sundown town with extra steps, or the Sundown town without the sundown requirement. Now, if you are not familiar with this particular proposed community, we will get into it a little bit. I will try to generally summarize the whole community and the reasoning why they're proposing it. But let it be known, if you do want to see further information about this, I will link several videos in the description down below. Now, I think 2 to 3 of them will be corporate news videos, unfortunately. I'm not the big fan of corporate news channels. But out of all the videos that do cover this situation and do give the people a chance to speak about it, as far as those proposing this community, these are some pretty decent videos covering the matter. Sorry for my speech. I do have a bit of a speech impediment. One of them is a 4-minute short video. So if you just want something that quickly summarizes it and covers it really quickly, that one will be great. I'm going to make sure that one's the first link. And if you want, feel free to see those videos first for yourself, and then come back and watch this video, and we'll discuss about it in the comment section if you want to. Now, the last link that I highly recommend seeing, and this one will be linked at the bottom of those links, is the video that originally brought this back onto my radar. Now, this was a proposed community from like several months to I think a year ago. However, people are still talking about it to this day, as well as the fact that I'm pretty sure this specific group is still trying to push said proposed community. Or who knows, maybe it's already a thing that they're getting going and they're just slowly building it up. I'm honestly not sure. The videos I watched were a little bit older, so I'm not completely up to date with the situation. But I do understand it's still moving forward for the most part. Nonetheless, one of the videos does discuss this situation, as well as discussing what is considered white in America, which is kind of important to the matter at hand. And let it be known that this will be coming from the excuse me. You see what I mean? I do got a bit of a speech impediment, so please bear with me throughout this video. Nonetheless, this is going to be coming from the perspective of a Greek. I'm assuming he's an American, a Greek American, I think. I don't remember if he referenced or said he's American. He does have a bit of an accent, but it doesn't mean that he isn't American. It just means English is not his first language. And I specifically say that because Greeks, at least within the US, I believe, would be considered white. Now, they do tend to get a bit of a tan around my complexion. I know I'm not on screen, but I would be pretty much considered a caramel copper brown. Particularly within the south part of Greece, I believe they could definitely get a bit tan, even in the summer. Like how us Latinos, I'm Latino by the way, tend to get darker in the summer sometimes. Maybe you've had that Mexican friend that went to go visit Mexico, or some family down south, even not in Mexico. They come back, they're dark as shit. I think I've been dark in the summer before, like darker than what I am right now. Nonetheless, they tend to be on the brighter side, white skin or olive, as they would refer to it as. And I think in America they would be considered white. I'm not 100% sure because throughout America's history, what was considered white was pretty arbitrary. But that's neither here or there too much. We're going to try to avoid discussing that too much within this video. I just recommend seeing that video, which discusses it a bit more. I might talk about it oh my god, what is my speech? R.I.P. English. Now, I might talk about it a little bit in this video. And perhaps I might talk about it in a future discussion, a future video. But for right now, I want to try to avoid that topic so I can stick to the matter at hand. We're already 5 minutes in and we've barely discussed it. Just barely introducing the matter. Anyways, what is Arkansas' supposed sundown town with extra steps or without the sundown requirement? And for those of you that don't even know what that is, you're probably wondering, what the fuck even is a sundown town? And what is the sundown requirement? I'll explain that right after I explain what this supposed community in Arkansas is. Now, essentially, there is a group of people that are proposing for a whites-only community where it's just whites only, no other ethnic groups allowed. Why? Their reasoning? Well, according to them, if other ethnic groups can do it, why can't we? Now, unfortunately, I must have been the only one in the comment section of the video where I first learned about this who had any sort of fucking common sense whatsoever to understand why that's a problem and why what that dude said is just flat out wrong. By the way, to anybody who's about to argue about me with this in the comments section, stop, wait, listen to understand why I say this first before you make yourself look like an uneducated fool. Because clearly, if you're about to argue about this, you are uneducated on this matter. I'm not saying that out of malice, you are literally ignorant. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I literally just mean that by the dictionary fucking definition that you're missing a bit of information and context that is leading you to make a wrong conclusion. But nonetheless, basically what this proposed community is they essentially want a whites-only community. Just straight up borderline dictionary definition, racial segregation. That is literally what they're proposing, whether they want to admit it or not, and they're straight up denying that it has anything to do with racism. It does have something to do with race, but not racism. And they swear they have no hate in their heart whatsoever. But yet they literally want a segregated community that is the direct equivalent of a sundown town with extra steps. As in the extra steps to pretend like it's not a racist thing. Or they're genuinely misguided. Maybe they're genuinely misguided and they don't have any hate in their heart. And they're just dumb. They don't understand why that's a problem. And of course, I say sundown town without the requirement because of the reason why they call them sundown towns, which is they're white only communities. However, it doesn't mean they don't tolerate people passing through. Let's say if somebody's just passing through in their travels, maybe they're doing a quick visit on their travels, but they're staying outside of the town in a motel. Maybe it's just a trucker passing through with their load and bringing the load out because, the town can't be self-sufficient without the nation, without the rest of the state at least. So for quick travels and business purposes during the daytime, they'll tolerate other people. But come by sundown, your ass better be out of town, or else. Thus the name Sundown Town. And I say it's a sundown town without the sundown requirements because so far they haven't stated anything about people having to be out by sundown. Basically, the sundown town requirement. Now, again, before anybody tries to argue with me, I got a challenge for you. I want you to go onto a map of the United States of America and point to me anywhere on the map, with the exception of sundown towns because I've already mentioned them. And with the exception of indigenous reservations, which are the only situation where this is legal. Point to me on the United States of America map where any ethnic group or racial group has a segregated community where they exclude people of other ethnic backgrounds from living there. Again, with the exception of indigenous reservations and sundown towns. Those are the only exceptions that I know of, and only one of them is legal, due to historical reasons and legal treaties. And no, I don't want you to point out ethnically dominant communities in a fucking city like New York or Chicago, which is my city, by the way. Because predominant doesn't mean only. They're not synonyms. Predominant and only are not synonyms. And I'm pretty sure if I look in a fucking dictionary definition of the word predominant, the word only is nowhere to be found. A predominant ethnic community does not mean it's only that community and that they exclude people of other groups. It means that it's dominated by that ethnic group more than anything. For example, within my city of Chicago, as a Latino, I've once lived in a predominantly black community when I was a kid. As in, it was dominated by African Americans. It doesn't mean they were the only ones living there, with the exception of us. It means that they were the dominant ethnic group within that neighborhood. You still had some other Latino families within the neighborhood. You had some Asians, some Arabs. I'm pretty sure if you look around a bit deeper, you might even find some Afro-Latinos that you would never think are Latino, or other ethnic groups. But it wasn't only a community owned by black people, just dominated by them. And the same can be said about any other community. Even my current one, which is predominantly Latino first and Chinese second, because those are the most dominant groups that populate this neighborhood, this community. There is literally no situation where these communities will ever be legally allowed to exclude other people. No one is legally allowed to do that, with the exception of the indigenous on their reservations. Sundown town communities get around it by just simply making it very uncomfortable for other groups of people to live there. Legally questionable depending on what they do, in moral, but they're not doing anything outright illegal that they could be held accountable for the most part. As in, they don't just outright say, you can't be here. Even if they're lynching people, they're doing it in secret, you know? They know what they're doing, and they know better than to get caught by the law. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to live with people of your cultural heritage. You just can't deny people from living there, legally speaking. And to those people of this proposed Arkansas community, or would like to join this Arkansas community that wants a whites-only community, then why don't you join one that already fucking exists? You don't need to make something that already exists, like as if it never exists. Oh, look at this brand new thing I invented. Bro, that's nothing new. It's still a thing. Just fucking look around. What are you doing? You want a white-only community that damn bad? Move to a fucking trailer park or a fucking gated suburban neighborhood with an HOA. I'm semi-joking, but in all seriousness, if you're a white person that wants a predominantly white community that is disconnected from your original heritage, that additional part is important, then that's the most likely community you belong to. The trailer park or the gated HOA suburbs. Because my goodness, you don't belong to any other white community if you don't know that you're Greek, Italian, Spanish, French, whatever. Supposed quote unquote white communities have already existed, just some of them weren't always considered white throughout American history, i.e., Irish and Italians. They are considered white nowadays, especially if you ask a minority, but throughout American history, they weren't always considered white, especially by the original white people, aka the English and I believe the Dutch at the time. Was it the Dutch or Danish? Actually, I think it was the Danish. Heck, once upon a time, even freaking Germans weren't considered white. They are nowadays, but you're still going to see them in their own communities. They're not mixing as much with the Italians and the Greeks and the Polish because they don't relate to them. That's not familiar to them because they have their own heritage separate from them. Their own culture separate from them. That's not to say they don't mix or intermingle a little bit, but they're going to be predominantly that ethnic culture because they want something familiar, which is their own ethnic culture. There's no such thing as white heritage. Yeah, I know. Saying that is going to piss a lot of people off. What a hot take, HK. But I'm sorry, it's the truth. There's no such thing as white culture or white heritage the same way there's black culture and black heritage. Why do I say that? Because with black, since I'm using that as an example, is not only a race, it's an ethnic cultural group within America. Being white is like being Latino, okay? We're considered our own racial or general bigger ethnic group, but we all still relate to our own ethnic cultural groups. Mexican, Puerto Rican, Colombian, etc. And the same thing will go for Europeans and any other ethnic group. They're not associating with each other just based on skin color. Europeans are not going to relate or associate with every white person. Africans are not going to associate with every black person just because they're white or black. They're going to associate with their nation, their culture, their heritage, their people, which is not you. You having the same skin tone does not mean shit to them. And if you really think there aren't people out there like that within the US, I implore you to ask the opinions of those who are very close to their heritage, whether or not they may associate with being white. That's not to say some Europeans out there that are connected to their heritage, that they won't consider themselves white or don't mind being labeled white or understand they fit in that category or box, but they're always going to associate with their cultural heritage first and foremost, not what's on the surface level of their skin. That goes double if you're talking about ethnic groups that are multiple colors at the skin hue rainbow. Latinos are not going to all relate to all Latinos just because we're all brown, because newsflash, we're not. We come in all fucking shades and colors. We could come in white, we could come in brown, we could come in black. Now that's not to say that there isn't colorism amongst the Latino community, or even within specific nations and ethnic groups, but we're all still Latino. We come in different groups. When it comes to the cultural heritage, it becomes harder and harder to just join specific groups based on skin tone when we could all be different skin tones, even within the same fucking family tree. Now, am I saying that I'm against these people making their own community? No. I'm saying they shouldn't be surprised they're getting legal pushback from it, because you can't deny people from living somewhere. That's the part you can't do. That is legally a fucking no-no. At least not based on characteristics they were born with, that is. Now, at the same time, it doesn't make sense why people would be so eager to live in an area full of people that clearly hate them or don't want to be around them. Though with that said, that doesn't mean that those said people are legally allowed to do that. So if they want to be with their own community, by all means, I say they go and do it. Just literally do it without enforcing something that's literally not allowed by law. You can literally do that without getting yourself in legal trouble. And if you truly, truly don't have any hate in your heart, and at this point I'm not joking, go to a suburbs or a trailer park, there's your white community. If you actually do want to exclude people of different colors and races and whatnot, then just go join a Sundown town. They already exist, but at that point you're going to stop pretending because they don't pretend. And if you actually don't have hate in your heart, well, you better get used to living around people who do. Because that's the only community where you're going to get that exact wish of segregation without the legal backlash. Even the other European communities are not going to accept you unless you know you're one of them. And if DNA or ethnically, culturally wise, you're not one of them. They're not going to accept you because you're not one of theirs. You're not. To them, you're not. But by all means, do what you want to do, that you're free to do so within the confines of the law. That's it and that's all. And as I already stated with my examples, there are ways to have your whites-only communities within the confines of the law without getting yourselves in trouble. Honestly, you would have been better off just doing that shit and not announcing it to the world. And y'all wouldn't be getting this backlash online. Like, oh my god, genuinely, I honestly though, I'm being genuinely serious when I say this. I'm being dead fucking serious and honest. I honestly don't think these people are racist. I think they're just fucking stupid and misguided, that's all. I think they're just fucking dumb. They're just fucking dumb, bro. They're dumb and ignorant, but I honestly believe they don't have any hate in their heart. There's a difference between being ignorant and stupid and actually being ignorant and hateful. I'm still ignorant, but ignorant to the point of hateful is different between, being ignorant and clueless and dumb, That just means you don't know any better. And newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, we don't all know everything. To some extent, we are all ignorant on something, including me. Okay, we don't know everything. We're all still learning in this world. But for this particular circumstance, this particular situation, this particular discussion, the people at hand, I genuinely just think they don't know any better. And they're too stupid to understand why people are mad at them or why people see it as wrong. Like, I'm not even mad at these people. I just feel a severe bit of secondhand embarrassment for them, as well as, just losing a few brain cells, even have to dive into this shit and listen to their reasoning and explanations. Like, this guy very much sound like he wasn't educated at all. Like, he had a poor education growing up. Man, school systems in America really need to fucking improve badly. I am very concerned for this next generation. And I don't even have any kids. Especially if these are the adults they're raised by. My parents did the best they could. My family did the best they could. They're still pretty, not the best, brightest bulbs in the shed themselves, but they at least did the best they could with me. To the point where at least I'm educated enough to understand the nuance of this matter. Or look into the nuance of anything, for that matter of fact. Anyways, that's about it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below on this matter. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm definitely interested to hear your opinions on the matter. But of course, be respectful. But if you're going to start throwing shade and insults, don't be mad if I throw some back. I ain't obligated to be nice to you. But I show respect to others that show respect to me. But that doesn't mean we can't have a calm, simple disagreement. And forgive me if I sound a bit redundant, but one last time. The problem is not that they want to live in a community of their cultural group or people. The problem is them wanting to exclude people in a way that is not legal. And there's no such thing as a community, with the exception of sundown towns and Indian reservations, that deny other groups from living in their community. It otherwise doesn't fucking happen. Nobody but those two places, those two groups, those two exceptions, do that. And only one is legal. With that said, if these people want to start a community in a way that is within the confines of the law, that doesn't get them in trouble, I don't care. They have the freedom to do so. Though I do hope this video did help educate some of y'all people and will help you, help your desire for curiosity in order to dig into this deeper. Which again, I will link some videos in the description down below on the matter if you want to dive into it a little bit more. I especially recommend the fourth link. And if you disagree, I'm all for hearing your opinions. I just hope we can have a calm, genuine discussion just to have a better understanding and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just going to use satisfy. Hopefully it satisfies our hunger for curiosity. Or our curiosity hunger, or hunger for knowledge. Anyways, you get what I mean. Originally I wasn't going to make this video because I got a lot of other stuff on my plate. But this was just sitting in the back of my head rent-free. I just felt the need to talk about it. And this isn't the only, topic that's sitting in my head rent-free. I do have another one, but of course we're going to save that for another time. Though to give you a little bit of a, sneak peek for what's to come, here's a meme. This meme is going to be a reference to our topic. If you think it's funny, well, that's okay, but you're probably one of the people who's not going to like it very much in what I have to say. Because once again, you people are misguided and misunderstanding the situation. But until next time, leave a like if you've enjoyed this video. If not, leave a dislike and a comment telling me why, because any interaction is good interaction for my channel and the algorithm. And any criticism can help me get better. And of course, if you did enjoy, subscribe to add a little dose of chaos in your life. If not, please leave your dislikes, because they do matter. And I appreciate your time even if you didn't enjoy it. HK out, and have a good one.